Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we complete a bracket challenge to determine the ultimate second bourbon for newbies. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Jim and Heidi Posnot, Phil Collin, and Lenny Eckstein.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey.
So we're going to go into this one with the basic understanding that for most people, now that's not everybody, there's always an exception, I get that, but for most people, they start with either Jim Beam White Label or Maker's Mark. So those are the two, that's going to be the baseline, and then they're getting ready to graduate to something else. We'll do a bracket challenge to determine what that bourbon should be. We'll do that after the break. For right now, Lenny said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, Lenny?
Right. So the Olympics are a thing, were a thing, and I know a lot of folks get super stoked on it. I kind of let it go by, but it seems to be on TV a lot in my house. And something I've taken notice of, I find that there are some Olympic events, sports, whatever. In less words, what would you say might be you would think to be the most overrated or should not actually be an Olympic sport?
The Perfulus.
So we just had this conversation today.
And parallel to that, what is the most underrated, like surprisingly awesome Olympic sport?
Speed walking.
Speed walking easily. Speed. That was even by Zoom.
Is that that's a sport?
Yes.
It's an Olympic sport.
That's idiotic.
Well,
yes.
So,
It's
but
like
you have to
There's a gold
go
medal in that.
What's that?
How do you win a medal? You walk fast, but not too fast.
But you
Right.
didn't run. Good job. That's like a participation trophy. That's
Right.
a weird medal to get. I don't know how I feel. I didn't know that existed.
Well, if that's the case, Phil, then which one do you find what was the most surprising to you that you thought was way more awesome than you would have ever expected?
Badminton.
I like the
Badminton.
relay.
Badminton's cool.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I-
Heidi, what were you saying?
It was the swimming relay, the co-ed relay.
They did co-ed for the first time this year. Co-ed.
Yeah, co-ed was cool. I like that.
So
The summer games, by the way, are way better than the winter games.
for sure.
Oh,
Summer-
no.
Oh,
Unless
yeah. Way better.
totally
Way better. It's not
bring
even
in
close.
figure and speed skating, but summer games are superior until you get to the skating. Yes.
No, winter games are way better.
Winter games? They're
I
terrible.
disagree.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
This is
It's summer games all the way.
Summer
Just
games
for
all the
runners
way.
and your
That's the
gymnasts.
best ones. Yeah.
No
How many
one wears
times can you
bathing
go down a
suits.
hill in the snow and do different things? For the love of God.
Yeah.
Well, when you insult speed walking, just make sure you don't say it in front of Poland's David Sumala, who won the gold in this, of course, this year. His time of 3 hours and 50 minutes is top tier in my book. And
But
no one
this is
can.
the last-
Okay,
this is
so
the
like
last time
this
to the
gives me
Olympics.
hope that I could actually be an Olympian. Like I can walk fast. I'm not fucking running, but I can
Well, McNew, I got bad news for you. It's a 50K race, which
Yes.
is the equivalent of 32 miles.
walk. Okay, yeah, I'm not into that, but
Right.
seems doable for a regular person though.
Like, I
Speed
really
walking.
liked hurling until they told me that the Olympic team is not allowed to drink while they're playing.
Curling's dumb.
Oh.
Curling's dumb.
I feel like they have
Summer
to.
curling?
No, that's a winter one.
Is
Yeah,
it
that
winter?
doesn't count.
That's
Um,
yeah,
Then I
inferior.
was out.
So
Then I was
okay,
out.
so
The only good one in winter is that biathlon where they're skiing and shooting.
That's what I love.
pretty-
I love the biathlon.
That's a cool
I
one.
like that.
That is cool. Okay,
Now
but
that's underrated.
summer,
That should
like-
be on prime time.
But what about
No.
synchronized swimming?
Terrible.
Like, it's-
Terrible.
Okay,
It's
their
incredibly
faces
hard.
though, like
It's worthless.
their facial expressions, like those are golden. They're terrible, but they're golden.
There was not a single person who has ever got laid because they had a gold medal in the synchronized swimming. Like, that's
No, they have the gold medal. They just don't let the person ask too many questions about what the gold medal's for.
Just like, does that swimming face your O face? Because I'm not here for it. Like, they don't make great faces.
You know what makes that all worthwhile though was that Saturday Night Live skit with Martin Short and whoever the other guy was. That makes that whole synchronized swimming worthwhile because that was goddamn funny.
Can we also talk about the equestrian sports? Like, isn't that a horse doing all the work? Like, why is the human getting the medal? That's problematic. That poor horse. It had to travel probably by boat, probably not in great conditions. Like,
no, the Canadian team.
Poor horse.
The Canadian team, they flew their horses over here, and the airplane is Air Horse One.
Air Horse One.
For them.
It's a true story.
But it's just like that horse is doing so much work. This human just has to know how to
can't make that up.
squeeze their legs.
Right.
Like, it's not
This
that.
was-
That's not
This
right.
was the second time, I believe. So it's the same exact concept without the horse, and people are running it.
It's a steeplechase, and that's
No.
been in the
So
Olympics.
I want to see some bar Olympics. Who the fuck can hold on to a mechanical bull? Give that girl a medal. Like, she's doing good. She's drunk and hanging on. Give her one.
I could see rodeo being in the Olympics, though.
Yeah. Why is it not rodeo?
Because it doesn't have much international appeal, perhaps. Because there's not a lot of rodeo going on in Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia.
There's a lot of Brazilians that are real good at rodeo.
Apparently,
It's a
Canadian.
South American sport too.
Yeah.
Canadians do.
You know what I was surprised by on both levels? I didn't know handball was a sport. I've never heard of it.
Isn't that
and it was-
volleyball? I thought that was volleyball.
No,
They just
no,
call it
and-
handball.
It's like water polo on the
Volleyball alone makes summer Olympics better than winter. Right there, please.
Truth.
That's the beginning of the end of the
I
argument. right
saw
there.
like the ladies handball team, and I just assumed it was volleyball. Apparently, it's not.
So check this out. There's indoor and outdoor. There's beach handball and indoor handball. And this is what perplexed me. So I saw
Right.
indoor handball. I've never seen a worse sport. It's like basketball where you don't have to dribble, or rugby where you don't actually tackle. They just run around and throw the ball into this gigantic goal, and the goalie has no chance of stopping it. And furthermore, there's a foul, I would say, every 15 seconds. And this is how it goes. The person who got the foul, they stand there, they look at the goalie, and they throw the ball in the corner where the goalie isn't. It's ridiculous.
I think we found the
Handball?
sport Lenny thinks is
Trouble.
less.
I thought handball was like racquetball, but
No,
there's
it's
no
not.
racket. Okay, I have no idea.
literally
I
thought
never
it was
watched
another
it.
name for
Check
volleyball.
this out. I started talking
Volleyball.
about it with the guys at Deerhammer about how stupid it is. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And they were like, "Are you talking about beach handball?" I was like, "No." Like, you should watch beach handball. Beach handball is one of the most underrated things ever. It's fucking awesome.
Really?
First of all, same attire as beach volleyball for women anyway.
Okay.
And they do this move like straight out of the Matrix where it's not going to do listeners any good, but they jump, they do like a corkscrew maneuver and then fling the ball insanely fast. It's really cool. Like, it blew me away. Cool Olympic sport.
There you go.
I like when you did the corkscrew, you did the spin in your chair.
Yeah. Some of them are surprisingly entertaining, where you don't expect them to be. But I don't know. I love the Olympics. There's so many bizarre things happening there.
Like, why is the hammer throw a sport? Like, really? Like, it's not a hammer. It's a ball on a chain. Like,
But that goes back to, like, I don't know, like the
Original Olympics, yeah.
Like the Greek Olympics from back in the day. Good for them. They're like, we don't really have real sports, but here's a material item our blacksmiths have. Please throw it as far as you can. Like, it just brings that all back.
and by the way, do it in the nude because all the Greek Olympics were all.
No, you gotta wear your skimpiest outfit while you do it, but we're gonna give you a medal. It's gonna be fine. It's worth it. Let's just do it.
Just do it. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. There is our views of what's going on. So it is time to drink. Let's start with McNew. McNew, what do you got?
I'm gonna give some Blanton's.
Blanton's. Nothing.
Nothing.
Wild Turkey 101 Rye. I expect to beat you, but not by much. This is a well-loved bottle. Here we go. This is a liter. Here we go. Nice base that has the lead. Can be beat though. Lenny, what do you got?
I've got the Deerhammer Hickory Smoked Whiskey Steve Akeley.
Oh, the Steve Akeley edition. Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, there's the lead. There's the lead.
Good. That's great.
Yeah. Steve Akeley brought it. Jim, what do you got?
I'm doing some redemption 9-year-old bourbon.
90-year-old.
9.
90-year-old.
Ooh,
No, not enough. Not enough. Lenny's got the lead. Phil, what do you got?
Wilderness Trail here. Little bottled and bond.
Okay, no, not enough. Heidi, what do you got?
Since Lenny's was really good, I'm just going to go with Yellowstone. Like,
Shakira put our mini bottles tonight.
Oh, Lenny's got it. Lenny's got it. So there you go. Cheers, gang.
Cheers,
Cheers,
everyone.
guys. Congrats, Lenny.
Well done, Lenny.
All right.
Thank you.
Hold on. Cheers.
Hold on. Okay. Heidi's getting caught up. Okay. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about the second bourbon for newbies. We'll get to that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
Saying Bourbon Daily?
Yeah.
Okay, you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
No, your name first.
My name?
You know who you are. Yeah.
Hi, this is Jason Souter,
And?
and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Perfect.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we have a bracket challenge to find the second best bourbon for newbies.
Yes, we do. So our contenders look like this: Basil Hayden's, Angel's Envy, Buffalo Trace, Larceny, Woodford Reserve, Four Roses Small Batch, Knob Creek, and Bullet. So again, this is someone maybe looking for a recommendation. I've been drinking Makers. I've been drinking Beam White Label. What do you think I should drink next? So that's going to be our idea as we go through this. The matchups look like this. In round one, Buffalo Trace will take on Basil Hayden's. Four Roses Small Batch will take on Bullet. Woodford Reserve takes on Angel's Envy. Boy, that's a battle of the classic second newbies. And then Knob Creek versus Larceny. Round number one, up first is going to be Heidi, Buffalo Trace, or Basil Hayden's. Basil Hayden's.
Don't you dare call it Basil Hayden's.
Bernie Lovers told me to call it Basil Hayden's.
I gotta.
No, let's not do it.
Don't get me going
And
down
we're
that
talking
road.
people that are just starting to get into bourbon, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they've drank it enough. But they've been either Beam White Label or Maker's Mark. So now they're getting into something else.
Second thing they're trying to drink.
Okay. So I think if I'm introducing somebody, that's hard between Basil Hayden and Buffalo Trace. I guess I think I don't want to scare them or anything with too much flavor or too much profile. So, and not that Buffalo Trace doesn't have that, but I think it's pretty mellow and easy drinking, especially if you're going to drink it neat or just put a cube in it. So I think I would probably do Buffalo Trace first over Basil Hayden.
Buffalo Trace over Basil Hayden's. So Buffalo Trace has a vote. Jim, what do you think?
I'm going to kind of go the same way, but for different reasons. I think Basil Hayden is like a great first whiskey. It's really soft to me, and I just want to kind of step them up a little bit. So I'd rather do the Buffalo Trace. I think is a little more to experience for them with still not going overboard. So I would go with the Buffalo Trace.
Okay. I feel like Basil Hayden's is a religion for newbies, but we'll see. We'll see. Lenny, Buffalo Trace or Basil Hayden's? Buffalo Trace is up 2-zip.
I think this is an interesting one because, if it was the first bourbon to introduce someone to, as in maybe they've had shots before, but they just don't quite get it and they need a little bit of training wheels on like aroma and flavor and, like how to sip, what to appreciate. That I will hold hands with. Or on that journey. But once they get to the second one, I feel like they are ready for a tall glass of shut the hell up and enjoy it because I told you this is a fine bourbon. No training wheels. And I don't know. I guess like Buffalo Trace because no training wheels.
That means Buffalo Trace moves on.
That's quite an answer.
Well, yeah. I feel like, man, that Basil Hayden's, it really just, it opens people up. It feels like that's always the second step. That it's like, wow, this is
like it is
flavorful. And as someone who's a veteran, you're like, oh God, no.
It's more of like the appeal of the bottle, I think, though, because it looks elevated.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's great packaging, great
it's new
label.
people's pappy. Yeah, it's like they got the label. They're like, holy cow.
They're like, oh, I had Basil Hayden's, and they think it's great because it has this beautiful packaging, and that's what it is. It's not so much the flavor; it's the package it comes in.
Buffalo Trace moves on, so that's a good one. That's a legit bourbon, I think. So, all right, next up, round 2. Jim, you're going to be first. Four Roses Small Batch or Bullet? What do you think is a good second bourbon?
Man, both solid, but I'm going to have a hard time going against the Four Roses on this. I think they do so many great products, and that's kind of their, entry level. Yeah, just step up, but it's it's not overpowering, not overspiced, it's just a very well balanced, smooth, pretty easy drinking, but solid bourbon for the price. So I just think that's a great place to take someone for the second.
Right. Lenny, you're next. Four Roses Small Batch is up 1-0 over Bullet. What do you think?
Isn't Bullet Four Roses?
No.
It used to be. It's not anymore. It used to. It did used to be.
What is it now?
It's their own thing. They make it distillery and everything.
I don't know about that. They've been making it for a while now. Maybe some of maybe just the regular Bullet is.
Well, I'm often wrong, but asked prior to this show if somebody said which one, I would have said, does it really matter? But knowing that, based on what you guys are saying, I would definitely go with Four Roses. Small
Roses. All right, Four Roses Small Batch is up 2-0 over Bullet. Phil, you're next.
Bullet and Four Roses distillery debates aside, Four Roses Small Batch has been one of my go-to bar calls for a long time. It's a reliable favorite. Sometimes I give it as a gift, so I'd be foolish to vote against myself. And it's funny that Jim used the word spice. I don't think Bullet is particularly high on spice, but I think it might be a lot for a newbie, someone who's coming into it. I think it's got a fair amount of spice and kick that you don't find in other over-the-counter bourbons about the same price. So Four Roses Small Batch.
Okay. Next up is Woodford Reserve versus Angel's Envy. Round number 3. Lenny, you are first.
This is an interesting pairing. I think they are both crowd pleasers for someone new to bourbon.
I agree.
I'd have a really hard time on this one. I think it depends on the person, but there's a few factors, and I hate that these two are together. I love that Woodford Reserve at least takes into account or takes into the matter some pot still bourbon, which you're not going to get in a lot of these. But Angel's Envy, we're talking, I guess in bourbon, it's the port finish. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, just the regular port finish.
Yeah, I think that's a neat angle to throw someone. And plus it's super friendly tasting. It's got that backbone. So.
They can handle it. It's always amazing to me. Like you go to Neely and they'll have like a 100 proof bourbon, or maybe even sometimes under that. And you give it to, they'll do, I'll watch the tasting bar and there'll be people like, oh my God, that's like lighter fluid. That is so strong. I'm like, you're kidding me. I can't even feel any burn at all there. It's weird.
Yeah, and
Newbies.
the response is also, it's supposed to be strong.
Right.
We're shooting for. That's why we distill it. Yeah, also Angel's Envy from a brand standpoint. I think both Woodford and Angel's Envy can pull this off, but people get very attached to that brand because of the packaging and the name. So, I would like to throw that softball to a newbie.
So Woodford Reserve or Angel's Envy? Angel's Envy. Angel's Envy goes up 1-0.
My God, that was quite a journey.
It was. Phil, what do you think? Angel's Envy?
I think Angel's Envy is great. I think it's polarizing sometimes, especially for someone who's new. It's kind of a big curveball to throw them after having one bottle of something more standard. So I think Woodford, it's a kind of a nice step up. It's a little finer, a little, longer age, higher quality. Woodford Reserve for me, please.
Woodford Reserve. I will say this. Out of the two of them, one of them does get cult-like status. I don't think there's any just Angel's Envy fans. It's all I drink. I'm an Angel's Envy guy. But there are Woodford Reserve ones, which is a mystery to me because it's not my thing. But there are definitely people who are that big into Woodford Reserve. So that's interesting. So round 3, it's tied up 1-1. McNew, you're next.
I'm going to go Angel's Envy on this one.
Angel's Envy goes up 2-1 on the verge of eliminating Woodford Reserve. Heidi, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, last night we went over to see some family, and the bottle I brought was Angel's Envy because I didn't know who was going to be drinking, who wasn't going to be drinking. I knew that there was 3 of us that do drink bourbon, and then I didn't know if anybody else was going to partake. So I kind of brought that one because I knew it's a crowd pleaser, and so I would have to go Angel's Envy.
That means Angel's Envy moves on. All right, next up is Knob Creek versus Larceny. Knob Creek versus Larceny. Round number 4. Phil, you're first.
Too much bang for the buck on the Knob Creek. Wonderful bourbon. Would recommend it to anyone, but it's going to come in a little hot. You don't want to scare them away. You want them to enjoy their experience. Let's introduce them to a weeder. Let's show them what it's like when you mix up your flavor games. Larceny for me, my friend.
Larceny goes up 1-0. McNew, what do you think?
We know the answer to this one.
Yeah.
I'm obviously seconding this, but yeah, I agree. Like Larceny's approachable, right? Like new bourbon, newbies. They don't want anything harsh. They don't want that Kentucky hug yet. Get them some Larceny. Yes.
All right. Heidi, how about you? Larceny or Knob Creek?
Let me clarify. This is like we're taking the training wheels off and we're giving them something.
It's their second bottle.
It's their second bottle. It's only their second bottle.
Yeah, they're getting
It's only their second bottle.
God, I would say normally throw them to the wolves and give them the Knob Creek so they can get a flavor profile. But if we're not trying to scare anybody yet, I guess you can give them the softer side of Larceny.
Larceny. That means Larceny will move to our final 4. Congratulations, McNew. Buffalo Trace versus Four Roses Small Batch. Angel's Envy versus Larceny. That's going to be our matchups. Round number 5. Up first is McNew. Buffalo Trace or Four Roses Small Batch?
I like both of these, but I think Buffalo Trace is, if you want to get into like Kentucky bourbon and be like, I love bourbon, I'm a bourbon lover, go with Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace goes up 1-0. Heidi, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Buffalo Trace, and the reasoning is that it's very smooth profile. You get some good flavors in there, hint of vanilla, and for a newbie, that's going to be right up their alley.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jim, we're up 2-0. Buffalo Trace over Four Roses Small Batch. What do you think?
We should probably close it out with Buffalo Trace. As much as I like Four Roses, I think if I'm going to introduce this to someone's second drink, get them to the classic. And there's really nothing much more, classic than Buffalo Trace out of Kentucky.
All right, that means Buffalo Trace will be in the finale. They're going to be taking on either Angel's Envy or Larceny, depending on the outcome of this round. Heidi, you're first. Angel's Envy versus Larceny.
I know McNew loves her Larceny, but I never understood that. Even as a newbie, when I first started drinking bourbon. I really like Angel's Envy. I think it has a lot to offer, and it's great for newbies to try. And great bottle, great decorating. Like the angel wings and everything on the bottle. So I have to go with that.
Okay, Jim, how about you? Angel's Envy or Larceny?
Once again, a house divided. As much as I do like what Angel's Envy does and whatever, but I think to Phil's point earlier, it's polarizing, and I just want to get people to enjoy bourbon first before I'm getting to enjoy these finished bourbons. And Larceny as a weeded, just soft, approachable, easy drinking for somebody who's just getting into it. And I think it's a great bottle to go for a second bourbon. I think McNew should have graduated from that by now, but
no, she keeps. Yeah, it's like a kid that stays in fourth grade for like 6 or 7 years. All right, Angel's Envy versus Larceny. Round number 6. Lenny, you are next. Angel's Envy or Larceny?
I mean, in looking down this whole list, I think they all have valid representation for someone who's on their second. I already kind of have my thoughts about Angel's Envy, and I still feel that way. I'm not the biggest Larceny fan, but as it is the only weeded bourbon on this list, I think I would introduce someone to a weeded bourbon, I suppose.
Okay.
I know it's not my favorite.
All right. Larceny goes up 2-1. Phil, you're next.
Heidi, you talked about the Angel's Envy bottle, which is undeniably cool, but the Larceny bottle's got a cool look to it. It's got the keyhole, and you can tell the story about John Fitzgerald and the distillery thief and all that. So it's always cool.
I don't have any Larceny in the house, so I don't.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to take my word for it, or look up a picture online, I guess. But
no, Larceny has a cool story.
It's nice lore, and lore always goes well with the bottle, as does Angel's Envy. So given those two, I'm gonna say McNew, give me an L.
Larceny.
Yeah, Larceny. Yes.
Phil just wanted his vote to count because he knew if he went Angel's Envy, it goes to McNew.
That's true. No need to cause unnecessary drama.
So your vote counts, and it means Larceny moves on. So our finale looks like this: Buffalo Trace versus Larceny. So you got a high rye bourbon versus a weeded bourbon. Round number 7, Lenny, you're first. What do you think is a recommendation? You've got a friend that's like, hey, I kind of liking this bourbon thing. I drank Maker's Mark, and it was good. Or I drank Beam White Label. What do you think I should try next?
I'm going to go with Buffalo Trace for a few reasons, but I like it as a gateway to the unobtainable in that lineup from.
Yes, there's plenty of that.
Failure is what you're saying.
If you enjoyed this, great. You'll enjoy nothing else ever again.
Right.
You get no joy out of life now. Congrats.
All right, there you go. So that means that Buffalo Trace is up 1-0. Phil, you're next.
I'm going to vote for Buffalo Trace with a caveat. The reason I'm voting for it is I think it's kind of the same reason I liked Woodford. It's kind of a step up, a step in the right direction, more of what you might have liked before that first bottle in most cases. Unfortunately, Buffalo Trace can be kind of hard to find in all 50 states. So I always feel bad introducing something to someone that they can't necessarily get in their neck of the woods, which can't be the same set of Larceny, which, as far as I know, is available in every nook and cranny in America. That all aside, Buffalo Trace, please, for my second bottle.
Just made the whole argument why you wouldn't answer Buffalo.
No, I was weighing pros and cons, but I think Buffalo Trace is the better bourbon to be the second one.
All right, so now Larceny gets a bye because they go to McNew. McNew, Larceny or Buffalo Trace? What do you think here?
Okay, but so hear me out. So
Why?
I think you have to talk to this person, right? Did you like rye flavors or did you like weeded flavors? I want to assume that they liked weeded flavors, and I'm going to tell them to go get Larceny.
Larceny. That means Larceny has life down 2-1, but still playing in the game. So that's important.
And will die very soon.
Heidi, you are next. I got a buddy that lives in South Carolina.
Okay,
said, I'm really into this Larceny, and I'm like, I'm just I don't buy anything else right now. I'm buying all Larceny. I'm like, it's hard to answer that, right? I mean, he's just getting into bourbon. I'm happy about that, but he's a Larceny guy. That's
you haven't told him to text me. I will give him some recommendations. I drink other things now. I'll help him.
Steve, literally your second in the company, like your heir to the throne is Larceny. Like
it's scary, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So round number 7. Larceny is down 2-1. Heidi, you're next. Buffalo Trace or Larceny?
So Buffalo Trace is not hard to get near us. I can find it at my local liquor store, and I know when their delivery is. It's just a matter of if they have the 750 or the 175 and what I'm going to pick up. Because I prefer the 175 because it's cheaper to get that than the 750. So
Buffalo Trace, admittedly, you have to admit, you guys both came out of
couldn't get a Total Wine, but
Total Wine, which is a big, huge buyer
around here all the time. I can find it all day long around where I live.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store and they're 30 deep. Why is that? I don't understand why you wouldn't sell it to Total Wine, but it's definitely.
You want the honest answer to that question?
Why?
Because they would leverage other things. They're like, hey, if you buy these 15 cases of yellow
Fireball,
wine, we'll sell you this. And that's coming straight from a rep that we very well know in Buffalo Trace. Like that's what they're doing in the St. Louis market is they're at these C stores and these small liquor stores to get more sales of other things in their portfolio. They will leverage, if you buy this, we'll do this. And Total Wine just didn't care about it. Like, that's fine. We'll just sell something else.
Well, Schnucks must buy a lot of it then because they got plenty.
Yeah.
They have plenty.
Just
All right, Heidi, back to you.
That it was Buffalo Trace.
That means it's over. Buffalo Trace has won this thing. It is the recommended second bourbon for newbies. There you go.
Just for the record, I would have gone Larceny for a second second drink McNew. I'd have been there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid
favorite.
for a second, right? When you get more experience,
It doesn't have to be your favorite though, Jim, because you're not drinking your second
No,
bottle.
that's my point. If there's a customer in my store,
Right.
Yeah.
I would have recommended that from a weeded standpoint, easier drinking, more approachable. I get the Buffalo Trace. It's easy drinking, approachable too, but I think the weeded for a person just getting into it, if I want to continue their path in bourbon, I want them to like that second bottle.
Yep. There you go. So there it is, folks. Buffalo Trace is our winner. So
Let's
we'll
go Buffalo.
as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Heidi, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram as Heller_Barrel Babe, or you can find me on Facebook as Heidi Topol Eller.
All right, Jim.
You can find me on Facebook as Jim Fosnut or on Instagram at FozJim, FAZZJIM.
All right, Lenny.
You can find myself and Deerhammer on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Deerhammer, on the web at deerhammer.com, where you can also order Deerhammer, shipped straight to your door.
Where's your distillery located, Lenny?
Beautiful Buena Vista, Colorado, but I didn't get to say that Deerhammer would be an excellent second bourbon for a newbie to try.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or
Come do
first,
this.
or third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth, seventh, 100th.
Try Deerhammer today. Just go get it.
Yeah. Is your port cask finish out there? The one that you let us try on the event?
Oh, it is. And I'm quite fond of the latest bottling. So I would say folks should definitely order that on deerhammer.com.
There you go. Deerhammer.com. Pick up your port cask finish. That is an incredible whiskey.
Better than Angel's Envy.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
All right, Phil, how about you? Where can people find you?
Am I on Twitter? Yes, I am. Am I on Instagram? Yes, I am.
Patting himself on the back. On
Oh,
Twitter.
sorry. Derby City Phil for both those.
Derby City Phil. All right, McNew, how about you? Where can people find you?
I am on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website at steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com. You need to check that out. Gosh, we have all our virtual bourbon events. We have our shop, so much more. abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you very soon. In fact, it'll be tomorrow. Looking
Yay.
forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
see you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.